Picture this. You're in the Big Brother house and you just won HOH. You're feeling a bit cheeky, not really giving a damn, so you go up to your least favorite house guest, someone who you just can't stand, and you say, hey, guess what? I'm nominating you because I just don't like you. Well, if you said that, you better hope that A, you're a fan favorite, or B, they're not a fan favorite, because you actually just broke 2 rules right there, and Big Brother is well within their rights to deny you the ability to nominate that person if they so choose, because that's how Mafia works. Hello everybody, and today I thought it would be a fun idea if we looked at just some weird and obscure Big Brother rules that you probably didn't know. Well, some of these you might know, but I guarantee that there will be some that you have never heard of. I have scoured the depths of the internet, uncovering old leaked documents that have given me some insight on just some weird rules that you most likely would never hear of otherwise. Out of all of the rules I found though, the most treacherous rule to break, with the most severe consequences, is the rule that you must subscribe to Ethanimale after watching a video for over 50 seconds, and oh, would you look at that? We are definitely past 50 seconds. You wouldn't want to be a rule breaker now, would you? Look, I'll make you a deal. If you subscribe to the channel right now, we don't have to tell anybody about this. It'll be our nice little secret. So, what do you say? Great choice. I knew I could count on you to make the right decision. With all of that out of the way, let's get started.
Oh man, I might have just gave away the whole plan. I just made a rookie mistake.
To start things off, as I was saying in the intro, as HOH, you can't actually tell a house guest that you're going to nominate them. You can only use words as, I think I'm going to nominate you, planning on maybe nominating you. You just got to use obscurities like that. And the only time that I've ever actually seen this enforced was Brendan with Brittany in Big Brother 12, where when Brendan was HOH, he went up to Brittany and was like, hey, I'm going to nominate you. But because Brittany was such a fan favorite, production stepped in and enforced this rule and said, Brendan, you are not allowed to nominate Brittany because you told her flat out you were nominating her. And it's the only time I've ever seen this rule enforced. Also, as HOH, you must give a valid reason for nominating someone, and it has to be more than just, I don't like them. And this could result in punishment if not followed. However, I've never actually seen this enforced, and this could very easily be worked around by just nominating someone you don't like, but saying it's better for your game strategically because they're not a number for you, or something along those lines. But I thought it was worth mentioning that that was a rule because we just never see that get enforced.
So you gotta think of it at that angle.
Everything Paul ever throws at me is just stuff that he thinks that I want to hear. I'm just not buying it. This is how he got through his season, and I just don't like him.
Next, one cool aspect of Big Brother is the idea that a vote can be tied given an even number of voters, and this leads to 2 very interesting tie-break situations. Probably something you could have guessed, but in the event of a tie vote for the final 2, the rulebook says that the viewers decide on the winner. And the only time that this ever could have happened was the final 2 of Big Brother 3 had Danielle and Lisa each gotten 5 jury votes, in which case America would vote for the winner between the 2. This second tiebreaker scenario is much more specific and it's kind of crazy, but in the case of having 2 HOHs and a tie eviction vote, neither head of household will break the tie, and instead, the power of veto holder is the one who breaks the tie. And as far as I'm aware, this only could have happened one time, and this was during week 1 of Big Brother All-Stars, where Janelle and Jace were co-HOHs, and it would have needed Danielle and Allison to each have 5 eviction votes casted against them. In this case, Janelle had won the veto, so she would have been the one to cast the tiebreaker vote.
I let Janelle win the power of veto because it took the target off my back and put it on her back. Good luck, Janelle.
Now, here I've got some rules that you need to follow inside of the house. These are more everyday life kind of rules and not necessarily about the game, but still things that I found interesting. For starters, you can't wear a plain white t-shirt, and that's because apparently just white on camera doesn't look very good. However, this is poorly enforced, as off the top of my head, I can say that Zach Rance in Big Brother 16 and Jack Matthews in Big Brother 21 were both wearing pretty much plain white shirts when they were evicted. Although Zach's was a button-up, I don't know the jurisdiction on that one. But Jack's, I'm pretty sure, was just a straight white t-shirt, so I don't know why they didn't enforce that.
Yeah, I'd say that decision could have been it. Looking back, I probably should have trusted Jackson, but I made a decision.
Jackson, who you guys also call Mickey.
Yeah, Mickey.
That's his last name.
Next, you have to speak English to one another. This is not the case for Big Brother Canada, as you can speak English or French, but in general, you are not allowed to communicate in another language that is not English. And this is so that you can't have secret conversations that production can't translate. One workaround that I've seen from this, though, is Lisa and Danielle using sign language in Big Brother 3. So again, how enforced is this going to be? I don't really know. Also, JC in Big Brother 20 spoke a lot of Spanish, so I don't know. These rules are kind of poorly enforced.
Amy started telling a story, but without giving too much detail.
Okay. So who was that person? She goes, I'm not going to say who that person is. And Lisa's going R-O-D-D-Y. And I went, I know it's R-O-D-D-Y.
Next, you are not allowed to change how you look in a week until after the live show on Thursday. And this is for continuity issues and whatnot. So if you're going to have a big old Donnie beard, you can't shave it on any given day. And you have to ask permission from production first to make sure that it's all right. One time that I think I can remember this is in the beginning of Big Brother 23. It was either Christian or Tiffany. They were wanting to take out some braids in their hair because it was hurting them, but production said, no, you are not allowed to do that yet because of continuity issues.
Do I go clean shave?
Can you? You can't.
I could take a blade.
Wait until you have the razor.
I could take a blade.
I don't think you should do that. That might break you out.
And lastly, maybe not something you think about, but you're not allowed to turn the lights off during the day. They have to stay on. So if you're more of a dark dweller, it sucks for you. Now, back to the game one. I have one really specific game-related rule that actually could have caused some complications in the past, and that's the rule that you can't make up a power and pretend you have it, or lie about a power that you have, as this falls in the rule of you can't lie about production. However, you can lie about someone else's power if you don't know what it is. For example, in Big Brother 20, in the first week, Sam received the first power app, which was the bonus life. This allowed her the opportunity to let one of the first 3 evicted house guests compete in a competition to stay in the game, and if she didn't use it on anyone, it would automatically be used on the 4th evicted house guest. So, Sam was not allowed to lie about what the power was. She could say that it was game-changing and that it could potentially bring a house guest back after they're evicted, but she's not allowed to say that her power app, for example, could evict 4 people at once. That's specifically lying about production. However, when she told Tyler that she had a power app but didn't give him the specifics, Tyler was then allowed to go to other house guests and say that Sam has a power and that it could do whatever he could come up with because it's not his power and he has no idea what it actually does. So at that point, Tyler is allowed to lie about it. It's kind of weird.
So I have a thing. That's what I'm saying.
A thing?
Yeah.
Like, is it a thing or is it like a thing?
Listen to me. I'm gonna be here.
The one instance of this being a real gray area was Dan in Big Brother 10 making a fake veto out of aluminum foil. His plan was to just flash it to someone accidentally and have them come to their own conclusions as a sort of Hail Mary if he was ever in a doomsday scenario. But to what extent this would have been allowed to go on to afterwards is unknown, as he technically wouldn't be lying about production initially, as it would just be the house guests seeing the veto trying to come up with an explanation on their own. But if Dan were to then go on and say it was a secret power that he found, then production may have stepped in, as that would be a more blatant rule break. Or not. And that kind of leads into my next rule. Big Brother is allowed to change the rules whenever they want, and they don't even have to inform the house guests that the rules have been changed. Also, they can turn a blind eye to any rule breakings however they see fit, which I'm sure many fans have picked up on before. Lastly, for this last little segment, I got my hands on an old Big Brother contract that you need to sign when you are in the finals process of being casted as a house guest, and I picked just a few of the really weird things that I found. Firstly, when you go on Big Brother and while the season is airing, even if you are evicted first, you are not allowed to have or own a personal website. And you can't have any of your friends make one for you either. Any personal website that you own must be replaced with a site that just says currently under construction until the season has ended, regardless of whether or not the content on the website is about Big Brother or not. I have no idea why this rule exists. Next, after the show ends, you are not allowed to participate in any interviews without the express permission from CBS for 1 year after the finale airs. This rule may have lightened up over the past few years, but I do understand why they do have this in the contract just in case. Next, this one's kind of funny, but if you are suspected to have brought a personal item into the house that you're not allowed to have, they can full body x-ray you as a search. So no hiding anything in, you know where. Next, you have to accept the risk of death through competing on the show in order to get in, which, well, it's kind of dark when you think about it.
Erica almost killed Chicken George today. Did you guys see that?
And lastly, in this category, in the contract given to prospective Big Brother house guests, it is explicitly stated that your place on the show can be terminated at any time due to an act of God. For real.
It's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. And I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Keep being a child of God.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you, Claire.
I was kind of planning on stopping there, but I do have one more really obscure rule, and it's a gross one, so be prepared. So, if you're a guy and you decide to, relieve yourself in the pool shed in the backyard, it is a rule that you must place any used tissue or toilet paper or whatever into a sealed Ziploc bag before disposing of it. Thanks for that one, Howie.
I'm missing a pinky and I damaged my ring finger. And April's making fun of my hand. You know, that's my game. I can dish it out and I can take it.
And there we go. This is kind of a shorter video, but that's because I needed some time to recover from last week's long one. I do feel that I need to disclaim that these rules are hopefully accurate, but it's possible that the rules have changed and some of these are no longer valid. But regardless, I think it's cool that at least one point these were all legitimate rules on the show. If you enjoyed, consider subscribing. Special thank you to my YouTube members here. You all rule. And as always, here's a clip for you on your way out.
10 grand! Yeah! Hey, listen, that's not a bad way to go out.
I don't care about the 10 G's, dude. Shut up.
Booyakasha, there it was.